All right, we're back and we've got a change in background, a little bit more ambiance, more legit ambiance. We're back doing tier 3 of the Iceberg. We're gonna jump in straight away with Mr. Zaz. Mr. Zaz is a deeply disturbed serial killer in Gotham City, known for carving a tally mark into his skin for each of his victims. Once a wealthy and successful businessman, he fell into madness after a series of personal tragedies led him to embrace nihilism and see life as meaningless. Zaz's violent, unhinged nature and desire to spread chaos makes him a terrifying and unpredictable threat to Batman and Gotham's citizens. He views his victims as freeing them from their pointless existence, making him a philosophical killer who sees death as a form of salvation. To me, Zaz, in terms of the Gotham serial killers, is a better serial killer than Dr. Pig. I just think his philosophy is a little bit more manageable compared to Pig's just psychotic and deranged nature. Another difference between him and Pig is just straight up gross, and I think Zaz is just cooler. So I'm gonna put Zaz at an A tier. I'm also gonna move around a few right now, actually. I'm gonna put Riddler up at A because I feel bad. And then, oh, I'm gonna put Kite Man at D because I'm done with him, as well as Copperhead. I think that's lame. I think they're lame. I'm not afraid to say it. Solomon Grundy, a reanimated zombie-like creature, originally Cyrus Gold, who was murdered and thrown into Slaughter Swamp, only to rise again with superhuman strength and resilience. His name comes from a nursery rhyme reflecting his tragic and eerie existence as a creature caught between life and death. Grundy's simple mind and brute force makes him a formidable opponent, while his origin story evokes themes of resurrection and vengeance. Often he is manipulated by stronger villains due to his limited intelligence, adding a layer of pathos to his character. Just basically a zombie version of Hulk. He's just kind of seen as a muscle figure and just something that can smash and get things done, but without the dichotomy of the smartness of Bruce Banner or something like that. But I will say he is an interesting character. I'm going to put him at B tier. Next up, Sal Maroni is a prominent mob boss in Gotham and a key player in the city's underworld. Notoriously known for disfiguring Harvey Dent in most cases and playing a role in his transformation into Two-Face, Maroni's influence and power makes him a dangerous adversary. His rivalry with other crime families and clashes with Batman highlight the complexities of organized crime and corruption in Gotham. Like I said, Falcone and Maroni are just dudes. I get that they have to have a little bit of a human element in this crazy rogue gallery, but especially being a secondary human, fully human, unpowered person, he's going to go in C tier. Although I did appreciate his portrayal by Clancy Brown, aka Mr. Krabs, in the Penguin series. So Sal is going to be a C tier. Next up is Anarchy, also known as Lonnie Machin, is a young and highly intelligent vigilante who believes in overthrowing the established order to create a more just society. Driven by his radical ideals and belief in anti-government action, he often clashes with Batman, whom he sees as a symbol of the existing power structure. Anarchy's philosophy and commitment to his cause makes him both a thought-provoking and dangerous adversary. His sophisticated tactics and use of technology reveal him as a visionary with a penchant for chaos, making him a powerful force for change, albeit an unpredictable one. I feel like Anarchy doesn't get a lot of love in any sort of visual media besides comics, and I think he has a lot of potential. I just don't think he's been used in a quite appropriate way yet. He also has the ideals of any college female that you would meet on any state campus. So I'm going to deduct points for that. But I'm still going to put it in B tier just because I like how he is portrayed in the cases he is portrayed, and also his costume is pretty good. Next up is Lady Shiva, also known as Sandra Wusan, one of the most deadliest martial artists in the DC universe, renowned for her exceptional combat skills and strategic mind. Trained to perfection and often motivated by a desire to test her abilities, she serves as both an adversary and mentor to some of Gotham's heroes, including Batman. Her lethal precision and complex motivations make her a formidable figure who embodies the theme of mastery and relentless pursuit of power. Lady Shiva's deep respect for combat and worthy opponents often adds an intriguing layer of honor to her otherwise ruthless nature. I don't think it's kind of a stretch to throw in Shiva with any sort of League of Shadows character, although she is more secondary than the League of Shadows even is in some cases. So I'm going to put her at C tier just because I feel like she's not fully developed as a character in most cases yet. She's just she has a different story in every single universe. and I kind of like consistency in those characters, at least to an extent. Next up is Calendar Day, or Julian Day, a villain who commits crimes based on the calendar and significant dates, displaying an obsession with time and patterns. His unique mode of operation and cryptic clues often make him more of a psychological foe for Batman, challenging the Dark Knight's deductive abilities. Calendar Man's meticulous nature and thematic crimes lend him a niche yet eerie presence in Gotham's criminal landscape. His knowledge of history and deep understanding of symbolism make him an intellectual adversary who uses time itself as a weapon. Calendar Man was always kind of freaky to me because he's just like the only person still in jail in the Arkham City game. And I also think his OG outfit is actually kind of sick. The red and the white and the calendar pages all over. He's also become more of a serious villain in more recent portrayals, seen more as a Hannibal Lecter type character, and I really like that route that people are going with that. So I'm going to put him at B tier. Ratcatcher, originally Otis Flanagan, is a former pest control worker who uses his ability to communicate with and control rats to commit crimes. His knowledge of Gotham's underground and pinch it for using vermin as tools and weapons makes him a uniquely unsettling adversary. Ratcatcher's tragic past and descent into villainy highlight themes of isolation and the desire for control in a world that has marginalized him. His use of swarms of rats give him a nearly supernatural ability to overwhelm his foes, making him more formidable than he appears at first glance. This is a kind of a goofy villain up until recently. I really liked how he was in Arkham Shadow, the VR game that just came out that is technically in line with the Arkham series. Just a guy that can just sit there and control rats, who was an ex-pest control worker. I think that's just a good backstory that a lot of these villains have on this list, but it's kind of in line with some of these people as well, some of these top tier ones. I'm really torn whether or not I want to put him at A or B, but I think I'm just going to put him at B for right now. Next up, Clue Master, also known as Arthur Brown, a former game show host turned criminal mastermind who leaves behind clues to his crimes, similar to the Riddler. Though lacking the same level of intellect as the Riddler, his cunning and ambition make him a unique opponent for Batman. His obsession with proving his own cleverness often leads to his downfall, emphasizing the dangers of ego and rivalry. Clue Master's legacy is also tied to his daughter, Stephanie Brown, who later becomes a vigilante spoiler, creating an interesting dynamic of heroism and villainy within the same family. Look, this is just a Riddler wannabe. There's really not much else to say, and I already had Riddler at B tier, and I recently moved him to A. But Clue Master, I don't really see a reason for his existence because he's just a fraction of what the Riddler is. And that just makes me want to put him in C tier, and I feel like that's generous, so I'm actually going to put him in D tier because this is already a villain that exists, that's already cooler, and that doesn't look like that. Next up, we have Egghead. Egghead is a quirky villain known for his egg-themed crimes and puns, often seen as more of a comedic character in Batman's rogue gallery. Despite his somewhat silly persona, he is portrayed as an intelligent criminal mastermind who prides himself on his intellect. His schemes, though unconventional, showcase his penchant for elaborate plans and riddles. Egghead's crimes often involve high-stake heists and cunning plots that test Batman's ingenuity. When people make fun of goofy Batman villains, this is one of those. This is what I would show them. This is Dr. Eggman from Sonic. This is not a villain to be taken seriously. I'm getting kind of upset just looking at this picture. I really don't like this character. Going in D tier. We're filling out those bottom tiers, which I've been waiting for. What's going to be the difference between an E and an F, though? That's going to be the real question. Moving on, the Terrible Trio. The Terrible Trio consists of 3 wealthy criminals who use animal-themed identities: Fox, Shark, and Vulture. They commit crimes based on their chosen personas and share a fascination with the thrill of breaking the law. Their background as privileged individuals who turn to crime for excitement underscores themes of arrogance and entitlement. The trio's activities often spotlight the disconnect between Gotham's elite and the city's underprivileged, showcasing their desire for control and dominance. Yeah, the Terrible Trio are basically just trust fund furries. I don't really need to say any more than that. I'm actually going to put them as the first E tier. I do not like them at all. I think they're just dumb. We already have a group of people that represent Gotham's elite in the Court of Owls. This is just some furries that want to commit crimes. E, F. I'm going F. This is the first F, is the Terrible Trio. I'm not a fan, if you can't tell. They could have been anything else, too. Who's the guy that chose the fox? That's the real guy you need to be looking into. Next up, we have Prometheus. Prometheus is a highly skilled and dangerous foe who mirrors Batman's training and preparation but uses his abilities for evil. His parents were criminals killed by law enforcement, inspiring him to seek vengeance against justice itself. Equipped with advanced technology and a deep-seated hatred for heroes, Prometheus poses a significant threat to Batman, representing the dark side of vigilantism, is that a word, and intelligence. His meticulous planning and combat skills makes him one of the few who can match Batman's strategic mind. I really like Prometheus. He's obviously the closest that you get from an exact opposite of Batman, while also keeping some similarities. His parents were also just hippies, drug hippies, who got killed by police, and so he just wants to kill all police and dismantle justice itself. That's a pretty cool character. I also really like his costume. It keeps in stride with a knight persona, like the Dark Knight. You know how Batman's always like, justice. I'm trying to figure out what Prometheus would say as the opposite of it. But anyways, I rest my case. I think Prometheus, I wish he was used more. I wish there was some examples of him that were pretty... I wish there was some examples of him in the animated or in the video game or in the movies of some sort. I just don't think anybody's really used him yet. But as he stands, I do think he's an A-tier villain. I think he's really cool. Now, speaking of someone not cool, here is Catman, where Thomas Blake, a former big game hunter who turns to a life of crime after losing his fortune and status. Initially seen as a joke villain, Catman reinvents himself, becoming a skilled and formidable fighter with a complex moral code. His story of redemption and rivalry with Batman highlights themes of pride, failure, and reinvention. Catman's evolution from a joke to a serious threat shows his determination to reclaim his dignity and sense of purpose. I don't care what that says. Catman is lame. I really want to throw him down there with the terrible trio, with the furries down there, because this is about as close as it gets. He has become more prominent in more recent things I've seen, and he is more of a serious character and has romantic relationships with important characters. He's not a good villain. You know what? He is the definition of an E tier. So I'll throw him there. Next up is Maxi Zeus, a former history professor who believes he is the reincarnation of the Greek god Zeus. Using his intellect and strategic mind, he turns to crime to assert his divine identity and control Gotham. His delusions of grandeur and reliance on mythology-themed base schemes make him a unique adversary, exploring themes of power and madness. Zeus's influence over followers who believe in his divine power adds to his menacing presence in Gotham. He's very similar to an upcoming villain that I will mention later, and I kind of like these types of villains that are so delusional they believe that they are the reincarnation of some sort of powerful being. But he feels right still being a C tier, just because there are a few people that have similar psychosis. KG Beast, or Anatoly Knyazov, is a deadly assassin trained by Soviet intelligence, known for his lethal combat skills and cybernetic enhancements. Sent to Gotham to eliminate high-profile targets, he poses a significant threat to Batman and other heroes. His loyalty to his mission and ruthless efficiency showcase the danger of a highly trained operative with unwavering dedication. KG Beast's cybernetic modifications make him nearly unstoppable, blending human skill with machine-like power. Basically the Winter Soldier, although I don't know which one was created first, but this guy was definitely created as a sort of anti-Soviet propaganda, because he was made in the 80s. Which, you know, there's some fair points there. However, I feel like this happened in both Marvel and DC, and there's multiple variations of that type of character. So I'm gonna put him in D tier. Yep. We're really filling out these bottom tiers. Starting to have a population here. Catman can stay in E. I don't even want to talk about the F tiers. Next up, King Tut, or Professor William Omaha McElroy, is a university professor who becomes a criminal after suffering a head injury that convinces him he is the reincarnation of the ancient Egyptian pharaoh Tutankhamun. His crimes revolve around Egyptian themes, adding an eccentric and theatrical element to his villainy. His split personality and unpredictable nature make him both amusing and dangerous. King Tut's antics often mask his true intelligence, allowing him to catch his enemies off guard. Very similar to Maxi Zeus. I do think his origin story is funny, where he basically just gets hit. He's an Egyptologist, basically. Gets hit on the head and then wakes up and thinks he's King Tut. I think that's so great. That's such a great, funny backstory. I'm going to put it with Maxi Zeus, but just know that I appreciate his backstory. I think it's just funny. I think it's hilarious. Perhaps the most known and unknown weird Batman villain, the Eraser, also known as Lenny Fiasco. is a small-time villain who assists other criminals by erasing evidence of their crimes with his specialized eraser suit. Motivated by a desire to redeem himself after being humiliated during his school days, he turns to crime for respect and notoriety. Though his gimmick may seem absurd, his role as a cleaner makes him a valuable asset to Gotham's criminal underworld. His meticulous approach to crime scene management makes him uniquely difficult to track down. I think the Eraser is kind of funny. I think he's goofy in a good way. With as much crime going on in Gotham as there is all the time, you would expect there to be a good cleaning service, and I like that this guy fills the role because he looks like a pencil. If I remember incorrectly, he's one of Bruce Wayne's former classmates, and he basically just got upset that he took the girl he wanted to prom, and that kind of led him on the track to crime. Hey, he's down bad. He's a down bad guy. And now he wears an eraser for a head. You know what? It's my list. I think he's B. I think he's cool. That's character design right there. Character design 101. Make a villain, make him look like that. Very good done. Very well done. Very well done. Electrocutioner, or Lester Buczynski, is a villain who uses electrified weaponry and suits to commit crimes and fight his enemies. Though not the most powerful adversary, his unique weapons and methods make him a notable threat in close combat. His story often revolves around themes of vengeance and the pursuit of power through technology. The Electrocutioner's relentless pursuit of his targets showcases his dangerous resolve, and blah 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 blah. It doesn't matter. He's an E tier, he sucks. There's a million characters that can wield electricity, and you picked the name that was the most of a mouthful, and you're an E tier. Moving on. Crazy Quilt. Crazy Quilt is a villain whose origins as a painter who lost his sight leads him to madness and crime. Equipped with a helmet and that emits hypnotic, multicolored lights, he uses this device to disorient his foes and commit crimes. His character explores themes of obsession at the cost of creative passion gone awry. Despite his eccentric appearance, his schemes are often intricate and psychologically taxing for Batman. Just a guy dressed up in his quilt, only dangerous to people that have... The guy's only really effective against people that have epilepsy. No shame to the epilepsy community out there. I still think he's goofy in a fun way. Goofy in a fun way. And that's got to give him some points. He's certainly not in D tier with these losers. So I'm going to put him in C tier. C tier is where I put the people that I'm like, they've just kind of got a special place in my heart, and I don't really know how to explain it. They got a little bit of charm to them. I think that's it. We only got a few more left, so let's go on to Azrael. Azrael, known as John Paul Valley, is a vigilante who was raised by the secretive Order of Saint Dumas to be their enforcer. Trained from birth in advanced combat and brainwashed into obedience, Azrael struggles between following his violent programming and seeking his own path. His complex relationship with Batman as both ally and potential adversary makes him a fascinating and unpredictable character. Azrael's internal conflict highlights themes of destiny, faith, and redemption, making him a deeply layered figure in Gotham's landscape. Azrael is really intriguing as a character. He also is one of those guys that would love to replace Batman, but he's too violent too, but not in like a Prometheus way. He's basically like what a Caped Crusader would be in like the, I don't know, the Holy Roman Empire. And the suit is cool. The suit is really cool. I'm putting him in A. I feel like that's not that crazy of a take. Not like putting the Eraser as a B tier. You know what? Mad Hatter. I don't know how to feel about Mad Hatter. He's like, if there was something between B and C, that's where he would be. But I'm going to leave him there for now, with room to grow. Last but not least, we have Blight, also known as Derek Powers, is a corporate mogul turned radioactive villain in the Batman Beyond universe. After exposure to experimental chemicals during a sabotage attempt, he becomes a glowing, radiation-emitting being who must hide his condition under synthetic skin. Blight's transformation turns him into a ruthless, power-hungry adversary with both personal and professional vendettas against Batman. His dual role as business tycoon and supervillain highlights themes of corruption, greed, and consequences of unchecked ambition. Blight's cool. I think most people would agree with that. As far as I'm aware, he's kind of the main villain in the Batman Beyond series, or one of the main villains. Believe it or not, there's not a ton of villains that deal with radioactivity in Batman universe, more so with poison, but not so much as radioactivity, so that's kind of unique in this context. I'm debating whether to put him in A or B. I don't know enough about him to put him in A, although I do know that he is a pretty well-loved character. But I'm going to put him in B for now. B sounds good. And I will probably move some of these around as we get lower down the iceberg, because there's plenty more to go, and these videos do take quite a bit out of the day to make. So thanks for watching. If you're still watching, we'll hopefully get to the next tier and some more wacky and weird villains that I think after this point, I don't really know many more off the top of my head. So strap in. We're going to get ready to go. But yeah, thanks for watching, and that's it. That is the video. Also just realized my blanket keeps popping in and out of this. So sorry, I don't know how long that looked like that. But I do like this background more than the other one. It's a little bit more dynamic.